You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box? What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks, we're going back to the world of Big Finish, and we are looking at The Diary of River Song, Volume 9. That's right, folks, new recruit. We are having the wonderful, whimsical River Song meet up with the Third Doctor and Unit. And it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about this one. This one actually was more enjoyable, I thought, than some of the previous ones that we've been doing. And I'll be curious to see what my co-hosts have to say. And let's say hi to them right away, of course. Let's say hey to Ms. Melanie Dean.
Hello, everybody.
And, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And so I'll be very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Folks, of course, we want to hear from what you have to say at home. So please, feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. We definitely would love to hear from you. And if you are so inclined, we would love you guys to like, subscribe, and, you know, all the other social media stuff that they do. We definitely would appreciate it. And that's how we know if you're listening or not listening or just playing cards and, you know, having us on the background. You know, that's what my grandmother used to do when I first started podcasting. She said, I just wanted to hear your voice. I don't care what you're talking about. It's like, okay. It's like, thanks, Grandma. I appreciate that.
Hey, you know, it's a hit.
Exactly. A listener is a listener. So
it counts.
Exactly. I think that's why half our listeners, you know, all her friends were listening with her. Our ratings just crashed when she died. So it was okay. You know, we lost at least half our listeners right there. So there you go. So, but you know what, folks, it's a fun one to talk about. There is no new Doctor Who news right now. We're still trying to guess when Series 2 is coming. So I'll be very curious to see. There hasn't been any images, no talk, nothing, which is really surprising for Russell T Davies. So, but, you know, I think everyone's getting ready. Con season is about to jump up in the next couple weeks. Mel has MegaCon coming up.
Yeah.
And then we have officially been allowed to come back to Pensacon. So we will be there for that. So we got our media credentials. Yay. And we have panels, but we won't give you any information on that yet till we have a schedule. It's not fair to do that yet. So, but it should be a ton of fun. So, and with that being said, we decided it'd be kind of fun since Melanie is our new co-host and, you know, she hasn't had the pleasure of this yet. We're bringing something back from Earth Station 1. We're blowing off the dust on the Geek Seat. That's right, folks. We're going to strap Melanie down and tie her up to the chair, and she's going to answer the questions 10. It should be a ton of fun to do. And, you know, we're going to ask her, and basically just doesn't have to be long explanations or anything, but I'll be very curious to see. She has not seen the questions, and that makes it even a little more fun. So we should be a lot of fun.
We almost forgot the questions.
Yeah, we didn't even know where they were living. They were living somewhere on the station. You know, we had to actually find the chair. It's like, Mike, did you throw out the chair? And it's like, no, dude. I think it's in storage somewhere. So
meanwhile, I'm toddling in here, going, "What the heck are you people talking about?"
Exactly. What's
questions? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
That's how much she listened to our other podcasts, folks. So this is, you know. Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
We'll still keep her around. It's okay.
No, what's the ratings?
Exactly. All right, Melanie. You ready for your first question in the Geek Seat?
Sure. I'm trying to tell myself don't give one word answers.
No, please don't. No. Melanie,
Yeah, pass.
what was your favorite Geek Out moment?
La 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 la. Oh, I got to see at the time I was a huge fan of the TV show Psych. I was at San Diego Comic-Con and I got to see the musical there. And we're standing outside waiting, and then the Wienermobile rolls around and all the cast and crew come out to greet everyone that was in line. So that was just a really, really freaking cool, geeky moment. And I
Oh,
used
that's
to,
awesome.
yeah, so and it was the geeky part was they were really good about being on Twitter back when it was still called Twitter and
Sure.
interacting with people. And
Hmm.
and I would interact back and forth, and a couple of the actors actually recognized me. And I'm like, what?
That is awesome.
Because it was just it was back when, fandom was really good and uplifting, and Twitter was good and uplifting and stuff. So it was really neat, and we're really got that point of fandom bringing people and friends and all that kind of stuff together. So there's my geek out moment. San Diego
No,
Comic Con,
I
cast of
love it.
Psych, and all my friends.
Okay. Let's look at the other side of that, though. What was your most disappointing Geek Out moment?
Oh, good Lord. We'll go back to San Diego Comic Con, and we will just say waiting in line for 4 hours to see what they do in the shadows panel and not making it. It was Ballroom 20 got cut
Ooh.
off. So we stayed in line and we stayed in line and getting into the Brooklyn Nine-Nine one. And I had never seen it at that point, me or my husband.
Right.
And that turned us on to the show. So
Well,
we
that's cool.
made lemonade out of those lemons. But yeah, that was the disappointing thing, is finding out that you risk the line, you wait, and sometimes you don't get what you want.
That's always the fun of San Diego because they don't clear the rooms between panels,
No, they do
which
not.
is nope. And that's one of the downfalls of that place. What geeks you out the most?
Star Wars.
Okay, what about it?
Oh,
I just am a huge fan of the property and not the fandom. So let's just move that. But that good again, good aspects of it. But usually I'm one that I like when a new thing comes out and it's going to be Star Wars related. I love when Celebration is announced and what city it's going to go to, and seeing all my big Star Wars fandom people come together, and I get to go see them again in every 2 years.
An extended family type thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
when
What
is the
trade-
next one?
It's Japan, April.
That's not an official question, by the way.
No.
It's
Nope.
Star Wars Celebration will
Sorry.
be this year, April. I think it's 19, 20, 21. No,
Is it-
18, 19, 20, 2025. And I've got tickets and I'm going.
Yay.
Yeah, because the next one's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
The last one was in London. This one's in Japan.
Wow. Very cool.
Nice. Nice. What turns your geek off?
My what?
What turns your geek off?
Oh,
The last question, what turns your geek on? This is turning it off.
toxic fandom.
Mm.
Gatekeeping.
Number one
Gatekeeping,
answer, actually.
gatekeeping.
And it's even worse now than when it used to
God,
be,
it is.
when we used to do the show.
Absolutely. It's toxicity, it's gatekeeping, and even another footnote of note is how if I go on YouTube, it's the clickbait of angry people. And seeing why this sucks and why this is terrible. And it's
Sure.
like, I kind of, can't we, whatever happened to just keep
Why can't we
scrolling?
get along?
Yeah.
Exactly. What fictional character would you like to meet the most?
What fictional character?
Yeah.
Princess Leia.
Why Leia?
Because I think she's as much as her and Carrie Fisher are like this. And I've met Carrie Fisher, so I want to meet Leia and see exactly how together they are.
Nice.
That's cool. I like that. What fictional character would you not like to meet?
The Master.
The Master. Which version?
Oh, I don't know if I would say which one I would. Darn, because now I kind of want to meet Missy. I
Well, you're pretty much going to be dead anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
No
gonna
matter
be dead
what.
no matter
But,
what.
however, there's one master that will shrink you
Yeah, right.
to a little like action figure.
Oh, yeah.
There's others that'll just straight up murder you. Yeah. I mean, it's
a whole bunch of
Vaporize
bad.
you. Yeah, exactly. So turn
I
you
don't know
into
if I
Stardust.
don't know if I'd want to be miniaturized first. I think just kill me. Like don't
Yeah.
make me.
You
a
don't need to
little
put me in a
action
matchbox. We're fine.
figure. Exactly.
I don't need to sit there and listen to your grand scheming. I don't need
No-
to sit there for an
no
hour and a half for you
soliloquies,
talking.
yeah. No monologuing. Come on.
No monologuing. Just we're
Exactly.
done.
Okay.
Stop chewing the scenery. We're good.
What is your favorite geek word, phrase, quote, or pose?
I don't know. This one's I have a blank on that one. I will say allons-y.
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to say
I
that.
say allons-y. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Do you say
I mean,
that
it works out. It's a Doctor Who podcast, but yeah, I would have to also go. Yeah, allons-y, because that's one that always kind of works, and you can always hear it at a comic convention. It's even if people who aren't big Doctor Who fans know the 10th Doctor.
Of course. What is your ideal geek occupation?
Oh, time traveler.
Time traveler.
That work?
Yeah. Vortex manipulator or
Archaeologist.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
segue. That's coming soon, my friend. Spoilers. Exactly. What geek occupation would you not like to do?
Fact checking. That's just outside the entire geekdom. Being the person that has to fact check things on Wikipedia and point out that. Actually, no, I take that back. That would be a good one. I wish I could be a lore keeper for certain properties.
That's some properties just throw the
Wait a minute,
lore right out the window. So
but
it's
the pressure.
Okay. Yeah, of course. You ready for your final question in the Geek Seat?
Allons-y.
This is for all the marbles. What is your ultimate geek fantasy?
Yeah, this one's difficult. Well, no, you know what? I for the longest time it was going to Star Wars Celebration, and it was going to, and then I was able to achieve that, and about to do that again. So it's being able to go to those kind of comic conventions and going to those different fan driven things that you get to go and have fun and all, like how all the other questions are that I've answered. It kind of all ties into that. And personally, I don't think fantasy should be unattainable. You should be able you should reach, not necessarily for the stars, but not everything can be attainable. So I don't want to say to have a fantasy that's so far away that I've never had it. It's like, no, it's amazing. Let's do it again.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I like that.
Well done.
Very well done. Melanie,
Thank you.
You've made it through the Geek Seat. Congratulations.
Yay.
Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young lady what she's won.
You have won a lifetime subscription to a podcast that no longer exists.
Yay.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. So, yes. And you got to stay on as co-host now since you are officially one of us.
Yay.
Yay. We'll be making the arrangements for the tattooing later. So it's perfect.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, now, of course, is the time where you start thinking of all the other words and fandom things that are just always in your vernacular, like you said, spoilers.
Right, but we're going to take a break now, and we will be back in a moment.
Check out the Modern Musicology podcast, where each week we talk about things like
what makes a great drummer,
our favorite rock documentaries,
songs we love by artists we don't love,
our favorite concert memories,
songs that should have been singles,
and all of our favorite music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now.
Do not use Modern Musicology if you're allergic to it. Modern musicology may produce itching, dizziness, vertigo, temporary blindness, or heart palpitations. Do not taunt modern musicology.
Ask your doctor about switching to modern musicology.
Welcome back to the Diary of River Song, Volume 9, The New Recruit. And we are going to be traveling back to the 1970s or 80s, depends which times period you want to go to and everything. But I love this because this storyline takes place during John Pertwee's first season. So, and it is Dr. 3, it is the Brigadier, and it's Liz Shaw. It is really, really fun. And I've even more thinking than that it's a third Doctor, team up or anything. I feel like it's just River and Liz mostly. And
that's what it was for 3 out of the 4 stories. Sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
And even the last story too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Even the last story, you just got Pertwee in that one. Well, the third Doctor, I shouldn't say Pertwee. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, none of those folks are still with us. So they were all substituted voice wise.
And it's interesting too, because Liz Shaw was only with the Doctor for 1 season, and she was a great companion because she was a scientist also, and in a lot of ways the Doctor's equal that way. And I thought it was criminally underused also. And this actually got to flesh out her personality a bit and everything, which was really nice. Let's go around, of course, and we will talk all about, get first thoughts for this one. Let's talk to Mr. Gordon first.
I thought it was, overall it was enjoyable. I think when we get these sets, we review these sets, there's 4 stories here. They're loosely connected, and we can talk a little bit more about how some thematically they are connected in a lot of ways, if not direct chapters after chapter. They're not like chronicles, but obviously you're worried about whether or not the voices are going to line up and if that's going to take you out of it or whatever. And I will say that I think for the most part, the voice work on Liz and the Brigadier and the third Doctor were pretty good. Especially Liz and the Brig. I found myself, especially with Liz, getting sort of used to her voice pretty much right after the first, during the first adventure. I thought Daisy Ashford did a really good job inhabiting that character. Mm-hmm. And I think we found that Alex Kingston just has chemistry with everybody. So I mean, if you're working with Alex Kingston and there's no chemistry there, that's you, not Alex, because it just seems like no matter who they pair her with, it works. And so much so that her and Liz were just so fun to have adventures for. I was kind of like, can we get a whole series of this?
I would love to see just the 2 of them together. Would be amazing.
I was kind of hoping that, that they would kind of help explain Liz's exit from UNIT, with maybe her jumping on and becoming a companion of River's song for a little while. That would be amazing, I think. Mm-hmm. So, and they've got all the tropes of that time period as well. I mean, we're not jumping around from place to place. We're not jumping around from time frame to time frame. We're pretty much staying in the era, with a few sort of discrepancies that I'm not really sure exactly why, those are there. But, I will say that the album artwork is a little misleading. There's a helicopter on the album art, and there's no helicopter as far as I can remember in any of the stories. So I don't know why that's there. But it's just an odd choice. It's like, let's put a helicopter on the cover. are,
Well,
and it's like, but there's,
it's because in the unit they have to have a guy throwing little bombs outside of the war.
yeah, I can only remember like a helicopter being used occasionally, like when they could afford it. The BBC didn't have a great budget, but I think I liked a couple of the stories, and a couple of them I could have done probably without. So I think overall, I enjoyed the set, and we'll get into specifics in each different story, but I liked it overall.
Sure. No, what about you?
No, I have to mirror a lot of what Mike said. Alex Kingston really does have chemistry with everyone. For going through all of the River Song diaries that I've listened to, I've never had the displeasure of listening to her and whatever castmate she's paired with, or even on an ensemble. It's just I feel like it's just effortless. This particular series, I really did get that, yeah, that I don't want to say Laverne and Shirley, but it was just that perfect match where I thought River and Liz just they worked well together. And even like the first episode with, they're kind of meeting and she's a little standoffish. That's because they're both two, very, they're strong women, but they
Very strong
okay, fine.
characters. Yes.
They worked perfectly together in concert. And I thought the voice actors were brilliant. I've never really listened to any of the Third Doctors and thought that it wasn't the Third Doctor, or even if when the Brigadier's in there. And that's to me just a really good note of how well the voice actors aren't trying to do an impression of the actor who played the character, but they're really getting into that character and making sure that they have the vocal nuances.
Yes. No, I agree completely with that. It's interesting because by halfway through the first storyline, in my mind, I was listening to Nicholas Courtney. In my mind, I was, listening to Liz Shaw. I was listening at the end, at first hearing the Third Doctor, but then when he started raising his voice at River and they started yelling at each other in the final story, to me, I didn't even think it was somebody trying to pretend to be John Pertwee. It felt like it was the Third Doctor. And it was really well done. And bravo to Big Finish for doing that and not just trying to get mimics in there. You felt like these were actual stories with these characters. And I really felt like they captured the era really well. They did very much so. And part of me was like, when I was listening to it, because I was listening to it on the airplane when I was traveling this weekend, it was, where's Benton? Where's Yates? And then I realized, oh, wait. That second season starting, when they brought in, the other characters and Liz went bye-bye. And so it was real interesting to see. And because I think in the first season, you had the Brigadier and a lot of nameless characters, unit soldiers and such. So I thought it was really well done. And I enjoyed the stories. I thought I liked some more than others. I think I liked 3 of the 4, which is rare for me to say. I could honestly say that. And, they're all great because Alex Kingston is involved with it. But story-wise, it's usually, if I went back and listened to some of our old reviews of the diary and from previous years, and we've never liked all 4 that they've done. There's never been one, I think, that we've all liked all of them altogether. So I thought it was very well done. And
there's been some where you really didn't like a majority of them.
Oh yeah, there were a few of them. I think that last one, it was with K9 and it was with, the Mechanoids, I think, or something that we did. It's the last River Song one we did. For Diary of River Song, because we also did the Ninth Doctor in River also. And that was great. We overall liked that one. But the last Diary of River Song we did was 8. We were all like, I hope the series isn't fading. It was,
because we have
you
4
were-
more volumes to go at that
exactly,
point.
exactly. So it was interesting, and let's go story by story, and we'll rate them all together at the end. I figured that's the best way to do it, and we can say, which ones we could all during this we could say which one we didn't like or liked, but we'll give it all like one rating for the box set. The first one was the Bloodwoods, and that brought River in as a new recruit to unit, recommended by the doctor, using air quotes there,
As Professor Shaw's assistant, or sorry, Dr. Shaw's assistant.
Dr. Shaw's assistant, and but River was a doctor herself, and she always had to remind everyone through each one of these stories.
Yeah,
that's Dr. River song or Professor River song. So it was awesome, and this one was great because I could have easily seen the first one being in that era of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and it was very well done, and I loved like you were saying earlier, Mike, most of these are all Earth-based stories. They're not going out into space until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
So I liked it because that also captured the era. They didn't have a TARDIS to rely on. They just, and she didn't even really rely on the vortex manipulator until the last story.
Right.
And everything.
And she didn't even really need to use that much then. They kind of used it to skip ahead a little bit faster, but I don't, if she didn't have it, they wouldn't. And she doesn't even really use, she has her sonic trowel, that I think that she uses a bit, but not a lot. This one,
the third one, I think.
Yeah. Right. So this one is not, this one Bloodwood felt very much like, it felt very much like a Barry Letts, production. Like it really did. Like I was like, I could almost picture it a lot of times, like the woods and the guy coming over and screaming at the woman not to dig up his yard and all that kind of stuff. And then all the stuff that was going on in the woods as well. And the dog and everything like that. It had a, Hound of the Baskervilles feel to it. It just was really cool.
Even had the feel of like Stones of Blood, I was thinking, the Tom Baker era.
Yes.
It had that kind of feel to it. And, and it's the starting was the mystery of this young man who was found dead, but had been aged 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it was a fun story. And you had, a very distrusting Liz Shaw of River, through 3/4 of the story. And then
even when they
finally bonded.
Even when they were positing what caused the de-aging, and if it was a de-aging, if it was not de-aging, if it was advanced aging, if it was radiation poisoning, was it this? I loved them kind of at that beginning, really kind of bouncing off each other. They were testing one another, and then
see if they knew what they were talking about.
Right, and for me, you felt like they were gaining a little respect each time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you got the chemistry was built into this first episode.
Well, you got it. The trust was building and building all the way through to the final one where Liz was literally defending River to the doctor.
Yep. Yep.
And everything.
They have, as we pointed out, they have great chemistry, but there's also, that a lot of it is, the actors and the dialogue too, though, because I think there's really fun exchanges between them. I love the line where Liz says something. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she says it in a tone that is definitely she's not meaning what she says. She's being sarcastic, and without hesitation, River says, "Miss Shaw, I find sarcasm extremely attractive." And right away you're kind of going, "Ooh, awesome. There's a level here of connection that is really interesting and fun." And we didn't get to see that a lot with Liz Shaw. because, she's only on for a season. I don't think they really knew what to do with her. Mike was right when I agree with Mike completely when they said that she was underutilized and sort of. So I think this sort of, good on Big Finish for sort of steering that ship in a correct way, so that yes, Liz Shaw would have been a great companion if she'd been used right, and here's how you can use her right.
Yep. No, exactly. And that was kind of the cool thing about it was these characters were used very well, and I loved that it was mostly female driven. You had the archaeologist who ended up turning into the bad guy, of course, and who was female. Then you had Liz, you had River, and all the men in this were almost coming across as idiots, except for the Brigadier, truthfully.
Yeah, and the Brig is actually comes out this whole series this whole series of adventures comes out looking pretty good. Sometimes even in during that era, he can look kind of not cool, but
True.
here I thought he was used really well. The fact that he's giving such a long leash to not only to River but to Liz Shaw as well, and trying to depend on her, or give her more responsibility, because even he realizes I can't keep relying on the doctor, because the doctor will do what the doctor does, and he might disappear for a while, and what are we left with? So I thought that that was really really well played out as well.
One of the things I liked about this story also, it was female written also.
Yeah, 3 out of the 4 were. I see. So, and I don't. I that's great. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. But it's great that it was. That there's more diversity in the behind the scenes as well. But I think because it doesn't seem like this isn't like in your face, agenda driven.
No,
stories that they feel like they're whatever agenda may be there, and there's certainly subtext, a lot of text that you could but it feels organic. It doesn't feel like it's like in your face.
Sure. And that was the cool thing about it, is there weren't like female power driven type things. These were actually all good stories. These were, and that's the one good thing about it.
I think 3 of them were good stories.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be interested. I'll be interested to see if, we agree on which story was the weak one and which one wasn't. So any other final thoughts on the first story? Did you, it felt, it kind of even felt a little bit, what was it, like the town that they went to in 73 Yards at the beginning when Ruby went to the pub and everything. And they were all like, oh, a newcomer, type thing. And it's interesting because the bad guy in this was playing on the villagers' fears and enhancing them. That's why everyone was really rotten to the unit soldiers or to Liz or, River. So it was...
Yeah, she used that the town's want for isolationism to help protect her as she's digging for the little stone. Her little
stone.
Cannonball.
Yeah, I would kind of say that my only real criticism of the first story is that it just does feel like it's pretty safe, pretty conventional, pretty much like there's not a lot of like it's pretty predictable. It's there's not a lot of surprises. The tropes of a village where they don't like outsiders, or a neighbor that's really loud, and you think that they're obviously pointing you to thinking that that's the big bad, but it's not. It's this old lady who we just saw in Smith and Jones. Like it's like it's the old lady. Like in Doctor Who, look at the old ladies.
Oh yeah,
there's no such thing as an innocent like old lady, right? Like
never
look at this last season
ever.
of New Who. Like the old ladies are all over the place, being evil and doing things. So I think it doesn't. It kind of plays with tropes a little bit, but it doesn't. It's not bad. It just is kind of there. Like if this had been an actual adventure, in that era, I would have. I think an hour is fine, but if they tried to pad this to like, because some of the third Doctors were like 6 or 8 episodes or something,
Yes,
they
they
felt
were.
really long. so
A lot of
so
6-parters.
yeah, this one wouldn't have held under that kind of weight, but
No.
it's still really pretty fun.
What were you going to say, Mel?
Oh no, I think this was the episode when she does a throwaway line about her husband, that one of her ex-husbands had done an archaeological dig in Troy with a
Oh, right.
bulldozer.
Yes.
And all I could think was she was married to Heinrich Schliemer. Because wasn't that
Yep.
was him, right? And I'm like,
Yep.
wait, what? And then
River has been married many, many times.
and then we just move right back on.
As we
I was
found.
like, wait, hold on.
Exactly. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. Then we had story number 2, which was Terror of the Suburbs. And for me, this was the weakest one. I did not like this one at all.
This one for me battled for lower. And even though when I say lower, everything was good. Everything I liked there was good and then better. This one kind of to me was one of the weaker ones. Yeah, it was kind of battling for what I
right.
Yes, I agree.
So, Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, this was the weakest one for me. It's obviously a play on the Stepford Wives and that kind of theme, and it just to me didn't really add anything to that kind of trope. Instead, it just kind of floundered around, and I didn't really.
It's interesting.
There was some fun interplay here, but mostly it's just sort of River trying to save Liz and Liz being sort of brainwashed or whatever, and it just I don't know, it just didn't really hit for me as well.
It's interesting you said, the whole thing with the Stepford Wives. I got that feel. I did. But I was also partly thinking also The Prisoner.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because, isolated town in the desert, they were, because it was literally in northern Africa where they said that the village was. And that's why the lion was getting in there too, and everything.
The lion just literally had accidentally stepped into this. It's like,
yeah, exactly. The lion was the innocent victim in this one.
And the savior at the end.
Kind of, yes. Very much so. Ate his way through the villains. So
okay.
This one didn't hold my interest. I was just like, again, I was on the airplane, and when we were, I was playing games during this one. I wasn't intently following it and everything because, I was on my phone and I was playing, solitaire, or I was playing Star Trek or something. I was just it was just like I tried I was listening to it, but it was just not like, all right, this is interesting, this is good, what's going to happen next? I didn't really care.
The freezers kept like throwing me off. I didn't know whether or not they were red herrings or what was in the freezers, and I don't know, I think in my mind's eye I couldn't get the setting down at first, so I didn't even think Stepford Wives at first, because it took me a while to realize that all the characters were women. That's how, or except for like the hairstylist. It took me a hot minute to figure that out and to connect those dots.
And I thought it was going to be the hairstylist who was controlling everybody. Type thing. Like when they were underneath, they were getting their haircut, and then they had to go under the dryer or something, and that's where they were being brainwashed or something. And and then also, like you said, with the freezers, I was thinking that with the freezers, maybe that's where the bodies, the people's actual bodies, and they were replicants or something like that. That would have made it a little more interesting. You
guys put more thought into it than I did. I was just I was just going along going, this is, it's not really working for me.
And at the end, when the lion kind of shows up again while they're in the warehouse, and there are all these freezers, and she goes, "Climb up on the freezer," and I'm going, "How big is this freezer? Are we tucking it
Yeah.
up right now?
Yeah.
It's a
Because we
lion.
find
This isn't."
because we find out that these aliens are interested in, dining, for lack of another word, on River's brain and brain activity or whatever. And I'm like, so they set up this whole thing to trap her, and I'm like, this is so ludicrous. Like,
Mm.
I mean, look, it's Doctor Who. We've had ludicrous bad guys before. Heck, the Master is the master at it, right? Like, as far as ludicrous things to try to do. But this seemed like it was just like, really, this is your way to trap River? Because especially once we learn exactly why she's there and what she's doing, it makes no sense for this to even be a plausible idea to try to trap her. Like, why would this happen? Like, and so it just doesn't, like, I would have loved if it had been reversed, like if Liz had to say, like if River had been under the influence and Liz had to save her, that would have been really maybe an interesting twist on it. But they, obviously didn't go that route. And there wasn't any great dynamic between them in this one either, I felt, because it just like, because Liz wasn't really Liz through most of it.
No, not at all. And, River trying to convince, having Liz try to remember and everything. Come on, don't you know who I am? We've been working together. What about unit? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's like, I guess it wasn't that strong of a hypnotic control if she could do it that
And
quick.
I almost wanted the two German sisters to be more than they really were. Although I did like, I'm like, okay, how are you going to break them out of their mind control kind of thing when you find out they're from like East Berlin or East Germany, and they're like, oh, this has to be a plot from the USA, and they're like, yes, you're right, and they were good. They were good to go. Let's go. Let's get them.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Less we say about that than anything else. All right. Story number 3, Never Alone. That was interesting because it was a play on the whole everything going on right now with the IT, all the IT crowds. It's, everything with basically with Amazon and Facebook, and even a little bit of Severance in some ways, even the TV show. And it was interesting. Let's get your guys' thoughts on that.
I found Pipa annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrible. This was the other one that started kind of fighting its way for me towards the bottom, because I don't know why, but I found I found her and Marco a little bit just annoying when I was thinking that they would be smarter than they were. But then in my back of my head, I'm going, well, maybe they're the type of, they're book smart, but not street smart, which I know those type of highly degreed, use one of your PhDs kind of people. Then you're kind of like, but I did like that Liz ended up being, I did like the whole, the reveal at the end of the woman kind of bringing, the professor who is, she has a crutch or what have you for, and she's doing the trope of she's showing Liz her master plan and explaining everything like that. But funny enough, I actually kind of enjoyed that because I don't know, kind of felt just, like I said, it was a trope. So I'm like, okay, well, this is familiar territory. Let's go. So it wasn't great. It wasn't bad.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been done before many, many times. And it was fun. I think, if you're going 1 through 4, rating wise, and we'll do rating in a bit, this is my second to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I enjoyed it, but it was very predictable, and it was, whole thing with mind control, very matrixy, that this being was going to be using humans' bodies as batteries and to power itself or whatever. It was just like, it was okay.
The concept of them being Transformers.
It's your favorite?
This is my favorite one of the 4. Yeah.
Really?
I really thought this had an energy to it. I liked Pippa a lot. Actually, she reminded me of Daisy from Downton Abbey. Um, and I just thought, say, they had a sweet innocence to them, and the fact that River was trying so hard, especially in the Matrix, to save them. I mean, Alex Kingston did a heck of a job to like put them over. Like I just really felt like because you don't really, I mean, people die around River all the time, right?
Mhm.
And granted, she doesn't want them, innocents to die, but you don't usually see her get too broken up about things, right? But she really is trying to save these two when she's in the Matrix. And this one also gives Liz the most agency. Like Liz saves the day at the end of this. Like she's the real winner. I love that. This is like Liz is a rock star in this whole thing in this one. Um, I loved it didn't really work, the play on like what time period this was, because it's like they introduced sort of like a Space Invaders type game, and I'm like, I think it's a little too early for that. But then they sort of try to hand wave it away that say there's like time fluctuations or something, and I'm like, you just want to have an
Mhm.
excuse to use a MIDI version of the theme.
I was about to say I love the 8-bit version of the theme at the end.
The,
It's like
the
now that's a theme I could listen to compared
yeah,
to
the MIDI version of the theme is really all right. There's a really cool moment where the higher power voice tries to talk about why he's doing what he's doing, and how she's like, yeah, but you're hurting people, and he's like, I don't care, and he's like doing this, but they're going to a higher purpose or whatever. And she says, and this is funny, and because I think this is, this was produced way before the new series that we're watching, or the specials, because River's response is, well, that's all right then. And I was like, well,
that.
that's funny. That's a Doctor Who thing. Um,
But
um,
I loved her line at the end. Oh, I don't want to spend my eternity being inside of a computer program.
yeah, there's that
Very
sort of
good.
foreshadowing,
Mhm.
which is like,
Foreshadowing right
ew.
there.
Yeah,
So there's that element
that
to
dropped
it
it for
as
me.
well, where it's kind of foreshadowing what happens to her. There's only two things I didn't like about this one. I thought the higher powers voice, the effect on it was just too much. Like, come on, man, this is like, I expected him at some point to be like, don't worry, I won't hurt you, like going to a Prince song or something. Like I was like, this
Exactly.
is like, come on, man, you could have like either hired a different actor or had something that would have made his voice a little bit like more
Yeah.
ominous.
It's Big Finish. They have tons of modulations
They
there.
do,
You know?
they do, and
Yeah.
And they will use them.
I have,
Yes.
exactly,
I've
and I've been
heard.
very critical about the way they've used them in the past, because sometimes I find it really just like fingernails on a chalkboard annoying. But this was not annoying. It was just like, really, you're just gonna take, because they used even one of the actors that was in the actual like story as well. So he's doing double duty, and it didn't work for me. And the other thing I didn't like is the other thing that was been kind of not as shown up in the last few volumes, but was really present in the first one, is that River's all about the Doctor. Like she just, I mean, seems to revolve around him. And there's a sequence at the end of this one where she's talking to the higher power, and he says something like, I know what your real goals are in life and all that kind of stuff. And she says, and he says, he tries to hurt her by saying like, you will never be good enough for him. And she's like, but I will not, but that won't stop me from trying. And I'm like, the River I know does not define herself by her relationship with the Doctor. Just doesn't. Like that doesn't work for me. And so I found that kind of an icky exchange. But the
Right.
rest of it, I just thought this was great. I mean, yes, it was, again, not, as you pointed out, Mike, it's not reinventing the wheel here. It's tropes that we've seen before. It's things that we've seen before. But I just thought it was really, really well done, and there was enough like high points in it, enough for me, that I really liked it. And plus, like I said, the big thing for me is that Liz comes across as a rock star.
Mhm.
She
Okay.
saves the day. She saves the couple. She saves the world. She saves River.
Mhm.
And I'm like, way to go, Liz! Like, finally, Liz gets her moment here.
Oh, I
Yeah.
loved when Liz in that story like called unit and said, "You've got to destroy all the
I mean,
units
she's
and
like,
everything." And it says, "What? 2 to 3 weeks? No,
yeah,
now."
he's just like, yeah,
So so bureaucracy at its best, you know.
she's
And
on it. So I like this one. This one is the high point for me.
okay. Any other thoughts, Mel? Mel?
I have to feel like I feel like I need to go back and listen to it again. So I'm like, okay, hold on. I have a different look on this. Let
What
me
did
let
I
me
miss?
let me give it another chance.
Exactly. Okay. Fair enough. And then we had the fourth one, which was River of Light. So, yeah, great play on words right there.
Which in the interview, Alex didn't realize until like halfway through recording this. Like this, one of the characters said the line like "Rivers of Light," and she's like, "Huh, oh!" Like she like all of a sudden it like opened up. She like had no clue. I mean, for all of us, we're looking at it like, "Oh yeah, that's a play," but she didn't. She didn't get it,
You didn't
and
get
she,
that one.
I guess, can't see the forest through the trees, right?
Exactly. Boom. So, yeah. All right. This one, I like this one because I'm glad it brought the third Doctor back and, and him totally like freaking out that somebody's been messing around with his TARDIS and
Mhm.
moved the console back into the TARDIS and also added a jacuzzi. I love that. And that, and then also explained how these stories were tied together, which was really nicely done. And, it was okay. It was nicely done, very loosely, and why she was actually there on Earth during that period, and explained it.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for the two kid characters or young people who were involved with the mine and everything, but the other stuff in the story actually made up for it. I loved the Brigadier in it. I loved the Doctor in it. I loved Liz, and River was great. And then we got the Master, who hadn't, at that point, hadn't even been introduced yet in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Wow, that's true.
Because he was a season away. So,
Mhm.
and so that's what even made it even a little bit better. And I love, when the Doctor was like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm with the CIA." And he's like, "The American and
Nope.
it's like, "No, the Gallifreyan." It's like, "Why are you still spying on me after you trapped me on this planet?" It's like, it was awesome.
Mhm.
And then the whole thing, and still the vortex manipulator, nasty way to travel. That captured all the way through. It was a lot. It was interesting.
The interplay with the third Doctor, to be honest with you, I felt not as strong about. And it didn't win me over like it did you, Mike. And
Right.
it sounds like that's what you took away from this one a lot. And I get that. There was some fun interplay there. But after the interplay in the beginning, I just didn't feel like the Doctor really added to the story much. And I'm like, if you're going to put a Doctor in a story, he should add to it. And it almost was like, I guess maybe at that point I was getting so used to the Song and Shaw show.
Mhm.
Try to saying that 5 times fast. The Shaw and Strong and Song show. What? How, but that I thought even the third Doctor kind of messed up the mixture a little bit. Like he kind of but plus I didn't, and it's unfortunately the voice of the third Doctor didn't really like took me out of it a few times because I was like, that's not John Pertwee. And so that one was the one voice that kind of bothered me a little bit, not in a terrible way, but just every once in a while. But I did like the inclusion of the Master at the end. I thought that was really clever, especially since the unit era Master. I mean, that's he always pops up at the end like it's me, haha, and I sort of like that the fact that River's working for him as well is really interesting. It shows that she's still got like some not evil, but bad girl in her. And I like that part of it too. So I like parts of it, but the actual story itself, you're right. I didn't find the couple in this one nearly as compelling as the couple in the last one, the young couple. And I thought the rest of the storyline and everything was just clunky. Like they kept going like in the mine and out of the mine and in the mine. I didn't like it didn't work for me as well.
No, a lot of running. In other words, like old classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, in fact, that's why they use the time vortex manipulator to like skip some of the running that would necessarily happen like in the show if we were watching it. So I could see where they would use that, but yeah, that I thought it was just kind of a little bit clunkier. So.
Mm-hmm. Mel, what are your thoughts?
I like this one. If I liked this one better than the last one, but I also felt like it was more, I don't want to say grander, or maybe even epic. But they wanted to tell a really big story, but then they had to kind of cram it all into one thing. Where I almost feel like this could have been, when you have to Mike's point of the now. We've really established the Liz and River show. I really dig the
I wanted
Liz
to
and
hear you
River
say that
show,
fast. No.
and where we've had them together. And then in the last one, they did kind of divide and conquer, and Liz taking doing everything at the end, being the savior at the very end. Adding the Doctor in wasn't. I can't say that it wasn't necessary, but when you start adding more and more cast members or characters, and you want to give those characters as much time, including like any of the couple, yeah, I think that this could have benefited if it was longer, but because again, with just how much now that you've got an ensemble cast, so maybe it didn't really need the Doctor. I don't know. I think they were just I almost feel like they were juggling too many characters, and maybe if the story could have been tightened up a little bit more. I don't know. I liked it, but it did feel like a more like a Doctor Who-y kind of episode to me. But again, that was because the Doctor was in it. But yeah, no. I do have, looking back at it though, I agree with Mike that the couple didn't feel like was it Simon and was it Gem? What's her name? I had it written down. Gemma. Or yeah, I think Marco and Pippa might have been better in retrospect. Now I'm really kind of rethinking this one. Dang it! I'm changing this on the fly.
I know.
I can't review things. I have to review things and then review things.
No, but there was a lot of interaction. Yes, there were a lot of characters in this one. So, and it was very, running around, going in, like Mike said, going into the cavern, coming out of the cavern, going in, coming out. Let's go further into the cavern now. Oh, there's a landslide, so we have to use, split everybody up. And it's just like, exactly, vortex manipulate. Even though she said, oh, we can't do that inside. She's done it inside before, So it was, yeah. But, I like the arguing between the Doctor and I like, how crotchety he was, because that's the way the third Doctor was. And especially the first season, because he was angry at everything, being the smartest person in the room. And that's the one thing they did not portray in this, was that he was the smartest person in the room. But you also
find out, I think they did, but the problem is that he was kind of redundant because he was like, and there was someone there as smart,
yeah. But that's always the problem a lot of times, especially in the diaries when they bring in the other doctors.
Right, exactly.
And everything. So, and
it's really difficult. You're right.
No, exactly. Because I remember we said that when she met up, especially with Sylvester's doctor and Colin's doctor. That,
And they sort of force these team ups, and on the one hand, she's his wife, and you could tell she likes to flirt, and she likes all sides of the Doctor, all
Sure.
incarnations of the Doctor, and yet she can't let him know who she is or why she feels the way she does. And so there's this sort of always this tension there that doesn't always really make for interesting team ups for me.
Right.
And I don't, like I said, I don't feel like, especially in this her own series, she needs to depend on that. Now, if she runs across a Doctor, it should be. I mean, we have seen Doctor stories that are pretty good and pretty well written, and that tension is there, and it's really nice and fun. They play around with, like when she's with David Tennant, or when she's with Tom Baker, or some of the other instances we've seen it, but I just didn't feel like it clicked here for me.
Right. Well, that's one of the things I loved about the final River Song story that we got with Peter Capaldi, because it was on the other hand, because she didn't know
Right.
he was that he was the Doctor.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing that play in reverse all the time with these box sets here.
Exactly. So it was interesting. I recommend this one to anyone who wants to listen, much more than Volume 8. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more. This will be one I'll probably end up listening to again. And so it's pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and give this one a ratings now. And we're going to do it as a whole. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Mr. Mike, I'll let you go first because Melanie looks like she's deep in thought.
I'm teetering.
This one, I think, is overall one of the better ones. And I think the reason I say that is because I like the era of this time period from Doctor Who. But ironically enough, I love the fact that it teams up River with Liz Shaw, and this series of stories shows me that Liz has a lot more potential than we ever got to see on the TV series, and it would be the reason that I would gladly check out some other Liz Shaw adventures on Big Finish, because I think that if they're done this well, and if Liz is represented with agency this well, then I would love to experience those as well. And like I said, the Brigadier comes across as really good too. And I think after some time, I could probably get more used to the voice of the Third Doctor. But yeah, so, and as far as a rating, I would give it 3.5. I can't go full 4 on this one just because I think the writing is just kind of okay. For most part, there was one story that I really liked that I'd probably give a 4 to. The others would range anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. So, or to 3 really. So it would be 3.5, I think, overall.
Okay. No.
No, overall a lot of, okay, so originally some of these episodes I was like, okay, maybe it's like a 4, 3, 3, 4, and then I'm like fluctuating in my head here and there and everywhere. But no, I would as a whole give this a 3.5. And I have to admit, I've never listened to Liz Shaw in Big Finish. And this set, because of the way that I really like the River and Liz show, it brought a new appreciation for the character for me. And River just played so very well in. Alex Kingston knows how to play River Song. She just never ever, when she comes to play that character, it's like a glove. She knows exactly the mannerisms in her voice, the little affectations. She doesn't make it sound like in any audio when they're running. Sometimes you're kind of like, oh my God, we gotta get out of here. And it's kind of an audio, she's able to do all those things just flawlessly. And having her surrounded by a cast that I felt also is just one of Big Finish. I think it's an A-list kind of a Big Finish kind of cast because these people really know how to produce a audio drama.
Mm-hmm.
These stories could be better. They could have gotten a lot worse. Lord knows I've listened to some much worse ones, but I definitely want to listen to this again. Yeah, we're talking about, we know which one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Michael Gordon skipping out of that one.
Yeah.
Ghostlight and looking at you. I really recommend this one. And if
I
you
paid my
want,
dues with Ghostlight once before, so don't think I escaped that.
And he
train
he
wreck.
paid for missing it, so
Yeah,
don't
he
worry. So
That's true.
yes,
man,
you did.
there's other ways that you can get out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would give this, a 3.5. This was nice. This is a good River Song stories. And if you like River Song and you want to hear River Song stories,
Exactly.
I don't think this would wholly disappoint.
In all four of the stories, Alex was chewing up the scenery in every single one of those. And that's what you want to hear from, a Diary of River song. You don't want to have, oh, that river just pops up in for 5 minutes of the story or something like that. And, you don't want it to be, because there are some stories that Alex Kingston is involved in with Big Finish where she's a very minor role in these stories. So it's, but this is her storyline. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to give this one a 4. I think this is one of my favorite box sets that we've heard with River Song. I think it was overall consistent. There were stories that were weaker than the others, but I enjoyed them all. And it was in the era of Doctor Who that I love. I love the Pertwee era. It's one of my favorites for the classic series. And, I loved how everything felt it rooted on Earth. Everything felt it, you had alien menaces, but they were stuck on Earth. They weren't, out there and everything. And even the ending where, you found out that she was working with the Master. And that, then the Master paid her and she betrayed him and turned him over to the Gallifreyans.
Nice.
It was awesome. So I thought that was very well done. And you know what? Each one of the stories, for me, the stories went, one was the best. Then for me, I probably would say 4, 3, and then 2. And, it was, but they were all fun to listen to. I wasn't, like I said earlier, number 2 was the one I had the most trouble following because it was the weakest of the stories. But, they weren't horrible compared to some that
those men writers.
Yeah, darn them. We definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at Earth Station Who. Let us know what you guys thought of this. Want to wish our co-host Mary Ogle a quick recovery. She's down with a respiratory infection, so please, 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 those are very nasty, especially when it's cold outside. Yes. And as of this recording, the fine folks in Tallahassee are getting snow. So, who would have thought snow in Florida? Snow Miser is getting his way. Let's just say that right now.
Thoughts and prayers of warm blankets and chicken noodle soup to Mary.
Exactly.
And everybody else who's having to deal with this cold.
Exactly. So, probably some of those houses in Florida don't even have heaters. So it'll be very interesting to see what goes on down there. But folks, thank you everyone for listening. Happy 91st birthday to Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor. Mm-hmm. He's the reason I started watching Doctor Who. So, he was my first. So,
me too.
And so, happy birthday. He, somebody, put protection around him so nothing ever happens to that man. So,
yes, please.
So definitely. As we mentioned earlier, we will be going to Pensacon. It starts on the 14th of February and runs through the 16th in Pensacola, Florida, snow capital of Florida right now. So definitely, folks, check it out. Look it up, pensacon.com. And definitely they've got some amazing guests coming this year. So it should be a ton of fun to go to. Of course, we'll be back again in 2 weeks. If you get a chance, please check out our social media, check out our Facebook, check out our Instagram. And of course, we have all our shows up on our webpage, and we are found wherever fine podcasts are found. And we have a YouTube channel where you can see our lovely faces. So it's all nice. Exactly. So it should be tons of fun. Of course, find out from the rest of our crew what they have going on. Mr. Mike Gordon, what's going on with Bat Chums?
Bat Chums, we are still making our way through the second season of the 60s Batman series. It's been a lot of fun. Drew and I are having a blast covering that and reviewing each one of those episodes. And we just started up with the Dragon Con Report. We recorded our first episode of the year last night. So look for that to be available on YouTube as well as wherever you get your podcasts. I got word that once again I will be a guest at Dragon Con this year, so I'm very honored to participate once again in my favorite event of the year. And it's always great fun to talk about the con leading up to it and get excited for it with Dragon Con Report. So those podcasts are doing really well.
Yay. And of course, Ms. Melanie Dean, you got MegaCon coming up.
MegaCon's on its way, February 6th through 9th, so Super Bowl weekend. I'll be there.
All right. Be there. Be square.
Big, huge Doctor Who presence this year at MegaCon.
Yes.
So, say hi to all the doctors and companions for us.
They'll all be showing up in their individual TARDISes. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's there. They are absolutely bringing their... they're just getting everybody. If you are planning on going to MegaCon, make sure if you have not purchased parking beforehand, FYI, parking at the convention center ranges between $40 and $25 a day. That's not included in your ticket, and that's all pre-sold. So if you haven't already gotten your parking situated and all that kind of fun stuff, please figure out your plan to if you're going to park somewhere else, an Uber in or what have you. So just quick notes.
Definitely. If it wasn't so close to Pensacon, I'd probably be there too. So it would be tons of fun. So awesome, folks. We got, of course, Tales from Hollywoodland, my other podcast that I produce. We are talking this week about Frank Sinatra. And a lot of fun with old Blue Eyes himself. And over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, we are talking to the one and only Tony Shalhoub. And it's very cool. Monk himself.
Very cool.
Yes.
Nice.
Super nice guy. And we even got to talk to him about Big Night. We got to talk to him about Mrs. Maisel and of course, Wings and, all the different stuff that he did. So it was a ton of fun. Super nice guy. So check it out. Available wherever fine podcasts are found. Folks, as we always like to say, if you made it this far into the video, please like and subscribe right below or on your media player. 5 stars. Whatever you could do, and of course, subscribe. That way you'll know when we have a new show, which is every 2 weeks until the new show comes out. And we have no clue when the new show is coming out. So until then, of course, on behalf of myself, Ms. Melanie Dean, and Mr. Michael Gordon, Ms. Mary Ogle, get better. We will see you all soon. Later, Gators, and may everything be well. And stay warm. It seems like it's cold everywhere in the country right now, except for in California where everything's on fire. Be well. Peace, and we're out.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.